What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Tech 3 Challenge for part number 8 today, the Spanish Grand Prix. And after the heroic victory, yes, victory in the British Grand Prix, we're headed into Jerez, an absolute classic of the MotoGP calendar, full of confidence after taking KTM's and the team's first win of the season at the British Grand Prix. No better place to do it for us than our home, but we're heading into the Spanish Grand Prix with a wet qualifying on our hands. However, just take a look at the top left of your screen. For the first time this season, not only have we come off the back of our first victory, we've backed it up with our first Q2 appearance of the season. We are in the top 12 on the grid for the first time ever. That could be huge for us. We topped practice by a mere couple of thousandths of a second over Marc Marquez, but just riding that a little bit more conservative and smooth again. I hate to keep banging the drum like I did in the last episode, but I'm finally figuring out how to ride this bike, and hopefully that will transgress into the races today. I'm not feeling too confident about qualifying. The wet weather at Silverstone wasn't quite there. It didn't quite feel there, and we finished the sprint race in the wet weather down in 11th position. So 11th is kind of the benchmark. That is the target that we have to aim for first, and anything over that will be a bonus. We get the first corner completely wrong at the start of our first flying lap. The second flying lap much better as we hit the apex for turn number 1 and then down into turn 2, the Michelin hairpin. A little bit wide, but we'll stop it in the middle and try and fire it out and then carry the corner speed through turn 3. But as we skip onto the end of a lap through Ferrari, and then onto the brakes into the Jorge Lorenzo corner, turn 13. A little bit wide on entry, but again, we'll square it off, get the power down on the KTM, and then wrestle the bike to the line. We get across the line under the spaceship, and it's a 1:45.7, and it was P11, and we're relegated to P12. And as we tick off a couple more laps, this final lap of the session, we're 2 tenths under our time through the middles of turn 9 and turn 10, but a spin up on the exit of the curb. We lose a little bit of time. We need a big turn 11 of Alex Crivier, and then a big turn 12 of Ferrari. Be brave on the inside, and we get the power down. We pick up 4 tenths of a second on our previous best time, down into the hairpin of Jorge Lorenzo. We hit the apex earlier, hold a tighter line, but that's actually going to hurt us on the exit, and we drop 2 tenths of a second. And then to the line, it's a 2-tenth improvement, and it's P11. We got P11 on the grid. If we didn't lose that 2 tenths, it would have been 8th on the grid. We would have had Morbidelli's position, but it is P11 on the grid for the Spanish Grand Prix. Gian Antonio gets pole, Alex Marquez second, Martin in third, Aldeguer heads row 2 ahead of Quartararo, and then only Marc Marquez, the Spanish local legend, he is down in P6. Bagnaia, though, his rival, on row 3 as well. So Bagnaia and Marquez with a little bit of work to do here in Jerez. We've seen them battle at the front in the past, and they've got a lot of work to do if they want to replicate that battle here in the 2 races today. First up, though, is the sprint race, and conditions have cleared nicely for it. Overcast ahead, but the track remains dry. Pretty similar conditions to what we took victory at in the British Grand Prix last time out, so I'm feeling confident that we might be able to at least replicate a performance as strong as that. Alex Marquez on the front row in the Gresini camp, and we're starting from P11, much higher than our previous ones, so let's see if that helps us in the Spanish Grand Prix.
The riders are lined up on the Jerez grid. There doesn't seem to be any problems, and they're all ready to go. A few seconds now, and the lights will go out.
Here we go then. The Spanish Grand Prix is about to get underway with the sprint race, the 5-lap sprint race here at the Circuito de Jerez, as we rev up towards the start of this one, and we are underway, and it's not a good start. Again, we missed the timing of the lights. The AI seems to just rocket away as soon as the lights go out, whereas I have to physically react to things, and we've gone backwards off the start. Look at that, down into P15, but we make up a couple of positions on the run into turn 2, up into 13th place. There's contact between myself and Vinales, who in turn was having contact with Morbidelli and slowed each other right down, but Vinales maintains that position. We're up to 11th place, down to 12th place, and actually hold position for my grid slot. So it's not been the start that we hoped for. Normally we go forwards at the start of the races. This time we hold position and we sit in 11th as we pick up the throttle on the exit of Cito Pons corner, get that ride height device activated, and the rear squeezed into the tarmac as we lay the power down towards the Dani Pedrosa hairpin that used to be called Dry Sack, and it's now named after the Spanish legend of MotoGP that is Dani Pedrosa. We've got legends everywhere around here. We have Cito Pons at turn 5, we have Alex Crivier, we have Jorge Martinez Aspar here at turn number 8, we have Lorenzo at the final corner. Lots of Spanish history around this Jerez circuit, and of course we can't forget Angel Nieto here at turn number 9, but we get through on Vinales. A bit of a mistake there from ourselves as we get through, and that allows him back on the inside at turn number 9. But yeah, not a good start to the race. We've lost positions, but we are in the mix, so we are showing fight, and we are up for the challenge. Out front, it looks like it's Digi who leads the way as we head into the final corner. It is Digi, Martin second, Quartararo in third position. No sign of the factory Ducatis there just yet, but I'm sure we'll get a look at where they are from an off-board camera very, very shortly. In fact, you can see them there behind Aldeguer and battling, I think, with Alex Marquez, or it might be the other way around. We'll see when we get there, but Alex Marquez and Aldeguer in the thick of the battle with the factory Ducatis. We still can't find a way through on Maverick Vinales, and these sprint races, it's only 5 laps, you know, the time runs out quite quickly as we pick up a track limits warning. It is Alex Marquez and Aldeguer, so Marquez ahead of Aldeguer with the 2 factory Ducatis slotted between the 2 of them. So it's the Gresini and then a factory, a Gresini, a factory, and then Iagora's Aprilia, then it's Morbidelli, and then it's our KTM. However, we're going to look to try and get ahead of Morbidelli into Dani Pedrosa corner. We get it all wrong though at Dani Pedrosa, and we allow Morbidelli back through, and the Italian back ahead of us into 9th position in this Spanish sprint race. But Jerez is an absolute gem of a circuit. I enjoyed my time there at the end of the last season for the World Superbike Championship when OMG wildcarded at the Spanish event. It wasn't the wildcard we hoped for, but the actual Jerez circuit was absolutely incredible, and it really is just an absolute gem of a circuit. It holds history everywhere you look. Everywhere you look, it has that just feeling of just a historic racing vibe, and that is exactly what Jerez is all about. You know, we think back to the battles of Crivier and Doohan, Lorenzo and Marquez, Rossi and Gibernau. It just holds, like I say, history everywhere you look. But we're trying to make our own history here in this Tech 3 challenge. We've got ahead of Iagora, and now we are looking at the rear. Well, in a minute we're looking at the gravel at turn 1 as we headed up the hill far too deep, and Iagora looks to try and get back through, but no way through for the Japanese rider. Now we're looking at the back of the factory Ducati. It's Pecco Bagnaia behind Marc Marquez, and really, with Marquez where he is, this is Bagnaia's golden opportunity to claw big points back in this one. Marquez is down in 6th, Bagnaia 7th. If Bagnaia could just sort it out and get near the front, and Marquez is still down in 6th, 7th place, then it's a big, decent point swing. But now Bagnaia is under pressure from us as we get to the inside at turn number 1. No way through on the Italian. We did give him a bit of a rub as we have a big moment on the brakes into turn 2, and then pick up a bit of damage from Pecco Bagnaia, who just stopped in the middle as we carried a bit more entry speed and just ran to the back of him and actually picked up a damage on our Tech 3 bike. But Marquez, I'm not sure where he's going there. He's made a mistake, and Bagnaia is through on Marc Marquez, and now if we can get through on Marquez, Bagnaia will be thanking us because it takes a few points away from Marc Marquez. But as we head now towards the hairpin of turn 6, we don't have to outbrake Marc into Dani Pedrosa corner. We can just level the Spaniard, and we do exactly that, and we do take 7th position from him, and now we can try and throw everything at it in our final section. But Marquez is back through at turn 7. We look to get the switch back on him and then make a move into turn number 8, the Jorge Martinez Aspar corner. No way through there, maybe into Angel Nieto, but no, we get him on the exit and we slide across the front of him not once but twice as we head into the Angel Nieto corner of turn 9. It looks like Bagnaia might just be a little bit too far, but a mistake from him at turn 10, and now we've got the run on him, and we might be able to line up a move here into the final corner. We need to be patient through Alex Crivier and then get patient through Ferrari corner, get on the power as hard as possible. We're going to look to the inside. We're not quite close enough. We're going to go to the outside instead. Round the outside of Bagnaia, no way through. Marquez might seize the opportunity. He can't get through either, and it's going to be 7th place for us and a couple of sprint race points here in Jerez. The first sprint race points that we've scored since Aragon and the last Spanish round. But it's Gian Antonio who wins over Martin. Quartararo puts the Yamaha in 3rd, Marquez 4th, and Aldeguer rounding out the top 5 on the second Gresini Ducati.
Good morning and welcome to the Jerez de la Frontera circuit. We are live at the Spanish Grand Prix, one of the longest running events in the history of MotoGP. Just a few more moments and we'll switch to the starting straight for the MotoGP class race.
Here we go then, the Spanish Grand Prix is upon us and we've got 9 laps, I believe, of this circuit of Jerez and 9 opportunities to try and make it count. We are coming off the back of a victory at Silverstone and then a better sprint race compared to the previous sprints as of late, but not quite the level where I was hoping to be. I was hoping to be a little bit further, but obviously getting beaten up in the early stages of the race did not help. So we need a strong start. We need to get out the blocks fast, get in the mix and try and make up some positions early on, and then just settle into that rhythm of just not overriding the bike and letting things come to us through this race. Tyre wear is going to be a problem in the Spanish heat, so we need to be conservative with that, but it's medium both front and rear on the front and the rear of our KTM Tech 3 bike. So let's go to the grid and let's see what we can do in the Spanish Grand Prix here in Jerez.
Riders are lined up on the Jerez grid. There doesn't seem to be any problems and they're all ready to go. A few seconds now and the lights will go out.
Here we go then, it's time to go racing for the Spanish Grand Prix. It's Gian Antonio on pole, Alex Marquez second, Martin rounding out the front row. We go from 11th once more in this one, and it's not a good start once again, and this time we have to go to the inside because Vignale's got a rocket of a launch. We're going to switch back to the outside though, in towards turn 1. Agora running into the back of Bezzecchi. We get caught up with Morbidelli, our rival for the position in the championship that we're fighting for, which I think is 7th place from memory. As we head now to the inside of turn 2, we get through on Bezzecchi, and this time we maintain progress. We actually make progress up to 8th place from 11th on the grid here in Spain, but as we pick up the power now, trying to look every which way to try and get through on Pecco Bagnaia as early as possible. We run a little bit hot into Cito Pons and have to just sit the bike up and be patient, but we might try and get the run on him here into the Dani Pedrosa corner. There might be a way through on Bagnaia. It doesn't look likely as we grab the brakes, and we're going to have to be patient, but we're going to look to the inside anyway. We turn in up the inside of Bagnaia and up the inside of Quartararo. We weren't meant to make the move on Bagnaia, let alone up the inside of the factory Yamaha, but we are through and up into P6, and it was quite a tidy move. We didn't make that much contact, a little bit of a rub, more than a hit, but as we go into turn number 8, Martinez Aspar corner, we relinquish those 2 positions as Pecco Bagnaia and Fabio Quartararo come back through. So in the end, that big move at turn 6 came to nothing, and we are back down into 8th position from that 11th on the grid. So it has been a good start. We have gone forwards this time. We're a little bit higher up than what we were in the sprint race, and we are right on the back of this train that is just streaming through these fast right-handers at the end of the Jerez section of the circuit. Down the inside, we run wide and we take Quartararo with us. My apologies to the Frenchman. We have to just see, had to take a little bit of avoiding action there as we came in a little bit hot. Would we have made the corner without Fabio there? Probably not. And then in turn we actually get the run on Alex Marquez and get through on him as well. So a little bit argy-bargy, a little bit of an aggressive move into the final corner. My apologies to both Bagnaia and Quartararo, especially for running the Frenchman wide. But we are into P5, and now we can try and line up attack from Marquez, who has had a much better start to the race here as well. Marc Marquez in P4 in the Spanish Grand Prix and sitting pretty for a podium position as Gian Antonio leads Aldeguer, who has also gone forward compared to the sprint race. So Fermin Aldeguer, our fellow rookie in this one, has found a cracking bit of form at the start of the Spanish Grand Prix to sit second ahead of Martin on the Aprilia and then Marc Marquez on that factory Ducati. Martin in a little bit wide though, so Marquez might smell his chance here to get through. Martin actually picking up a track limits warning in the middle of turn 9 and turn 10, but as we head now into Alex Crivier corner, turn 11, we're going to go wide in, try and get a little bit of a switchback, carry the speed through. The same again for the Ferrari corner, because I'm eyeing up a double move here as Martin's slow in the middle. We get round the outside of Marc Marquez, we can't get round the outside of Martin as well, but we're through on the Spaniards Ducati and up into P4, and now we can set our sights on the man who leads the charge for the final podium position, Martin, as we set a lap time that is just 1,000th of a second slower than Fermin Aldeguer's 1:36.262, a 1:36.263 for us. So we are on the money here in Jerez. We do have the pace. We're matching the leaders of the Spanish Grand Prix. And now we're going to try and work our way through the pack as Marquez looks for a move up the inside at turn 4. We're going to lean on the Spaniard, cover him off into turn 5. A little bit aggressive, but then we end up running wide at Sito Pons, and Marc Marquez comes back through. We're going to get the switchback though at the exit of turn 5 onto the back straight, and we are back into P4 in this one. Marquez though going to surely look to the inside at Danny Pedrosa corner. We're going deep and look for the red Ducati. There it is on the inside. Marc Marquez does not need a second invitation to get through. He wants to move forward in front of his adoring home fans and try to get that factory Ducati on the podium. You know what happened here to this man in real life and how his career took a big change. Well, he's now back at the front and enjoying it once again. The leader of the real life championship, the leader of the Tech 3 Challenge, but he has been overtaken by us into turn number 9, and then a bit of a mistake there by us at turn 10 might give Marquez a sniff on the run into turn 11, but no way through is there, not quite as he looked to the inside. We hang it round the outside of the Spaniard, slower in the middle of the corner, stop him a little bit and back him up a little bit, and then get the punch into this final corner, but a little bit late on the brakes, and we run a little bit wide at the final corner. Marquez might look to get through. He had a look, but he wasn't close enough to get that one done, as we now head on to lap number 5, and we're still behind Jorge Martin, but the Martins Aprilia, the Martinator, is all over the place here, and we're going to look to the inside here. It's going to be a big move if we were to pull that one off. We don't, but we do have a look up the inside. We try and get through. There's no way through, but there is a cutback, and we are through on Martin, and we're up into P3 once again, and we're ahead now of the Spanish rider, and we're into the podium positions here in Jerez. But a lap later we're going to blow it because we run wide at the final corner, and Marquez, who has now in turn got ahead of Martin, is through and up into P3. So Marc Marquez now holding 3rd position. We're going to look to make a bit of a dive into turn 1. No way through on the Spaniard. In fact, we outbroke ourselves a little bit and darted to the inside and hit the apex as early as possible. But now as we head through turn number 2 on lap number 7, Marc Marquez still holding 3rd position, holding firm, but we do feel like we have more pace than the Spanish rider. We do have a little bit of damage to the KTM bike, as Morbidelli for a 2nd episode in a row gets a long lap penalty. We have a faller further behind, and I can tell you it was Fabio Quartararo who crashed out of the kind of lower end of the top 10. He's rejoined, but he is way down the back of the field. As we look to go around the outside of Marc Marquez, we get it all wrong, and again we find ourselves off the track and with the track limits warning, and this time Martin is through, but we're going to get the power down, get in the slipstream of the Aprilia, look to go around the outside into turn 1 and get on the brakes as late as possible. We do go in a little bit deep, and we had to be patient before we hooked 2nd gear. That pushed us wide. Now Martin might try and get through on the inside of turn 2. We lay our KTM over his nose. Martin's going to look to try and get back through on us, but Marquez has gone down. Marc Marquez has crashed out of the Spanish Grand Prix from 3rd position, and that promotes us back onto the podium here at Jerez. Marquez has heartbreak in his backyard. The Spanish Grand Prix, the Spanish fans are absolutely devastated as Marquez slides out of the race. He is out of contention, and now Bagnaia would have seen that, and he goes, okay, now is my chance to get some points back. We need to get on the podium here. So now we're going to have a very determined Martin and Bagnaia, who are both going to be trying to get through. Martin's through into turn number 1. We're going to try and just slot back in behind the Spaniard to see if we can get the run on him somewhere else and get back into 3rd position, but we do need to be wary of Bagnaia behind us on that factory Ducati, and then who knows how close Alex Marquez is as well to the back of the factory Ducati man. So in towards turn number 8, Bagnaia is through on the inside. He pushes us wide, and Bagnaia takes 4th position. Marquez is there lurking. He wants to pick up a bit of redemption for his brother after he crashed out earlier in the race. A lap ago. Now through turn 10 on the gas. We're going to look round the outside of Pecco Bagnaia. Surely there's no way through. There is going to be a switchback though at turn 11. We are through, and we're in pole position now for a big lunge up the inside into the final corner. We go for the move up the inside of Martin, but at the moment, and we have to run wide, and I think we've blown it. We're in the gravel, and we're going to rejoin, and it's going to be P6 as we get back around the outside of Bezzecchi. But we've blown a shot at the podium in Jerez. You miss every opportunity you don't take. We took the opportunity and we still missed it, and we finished that race in P6. Aldeguer wins, the rookie sensation wins the Grand Prix. Digi comes 2nd, Martin 3rd, Bagnaia 4th, Marquez grabbing 5th position. We come home in 6th, Bezzecchi 7th, Iagora in 8th place, ahead of Pedro Acosta, Vinales, Binder, Bastianini, and a KTM train from 9th to 12th. We though for the second Grand Prix in a row, finished as the top KTM. Oliveira in 13th. Finally, Oliveira gets points in the championship. Morbidelli 14th after a long lap. And Zarco comes home in 15th for the final point scoring place. Martin extends that gap to us in the championship. Aldeguer jumps up ahead of Morbidelli as well. And we open up a little bit of a gap over the Italian. And we've still got a fairly comfortable lead over Aldeguer. But our target is trying to get Martin 6th. If we can get Marquez as 5th and finish the season inside the top 5, I will be very, very happy indeed. Grassini move up ahead of Monster Energy Yamaha MotoGP, and Aprilia move back ahead of us in the Constructors table. But there we go. We are done with Jerez, and we can now move on to the San Marino, the Rimini, the Adriatic coast, for round number 9 of the MotoGP World Championship. If you guys enjoyed the episode, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and I will see you with a brand new video, the next episode of the Tech 3 Challenge from Misano, very, very soon. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.